Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Happy Trade Deadline Day for all my diehard baseball fans out there and people who got stuff fucking with my shit, but regardless. So obviously we were doing a quick early little trade deadline live stream and stuff like that. Obviously it really doesn't really gets this good stuff going until 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So we're gonna do a little bit quick something interesting. But before we get into it, if you guys are new, definitely hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, let's just kind of get right into it. And obviously, we'll just pull up stuff from Jet Passan as well. Because usually, let me just see if we can zoom this in a little bit so y'all can see that. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, Urku. Yeah, it's been. But as for those who are seeing right now, currently on the screen, we did see just JV is going right back to Houston. And quite honestly, kind of surprised that he decides to go back to Houston. And I should tell you that, obviously, Astros get JV while the Mets receive outfielder Drew Gilbert. That's what I'm saying. Well, it's not just Chris Young. Our coach, even with me for Dave Dombrowski, like, what's he gonna do? But yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see. But let's see what else we got going on. Obviously, then we also saw Paul DeJong going from the Cardinals to Toronto. But yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what's going on with the rest of the trade deadline. So like I said, do it a little bit quick, like 3 hours early. Like I said, usually a lot of stuff doesn't really get much done. I'd say for the Texas Rangers, I would say, oh, I don't think you guys really need a catcher though. I mean, you just picked up Kevin Plawecki for what God knows what reason. But then again, you could use a backup though, which does kind of make sense. But then again, I mean, Grandal could be a possibility, but I don't know if he's going to be the same guy if you're going to really get him. But then again, oh shit, I did not know that Jonah Heim's going to be out. Was hurt, so that makes sense. That makes total sense. Kevin Plawecki, not really so much. In my honest opinion, but I mean, hey, what are you gonna do? But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see see how everything has going on and trying to think. Let's see what boss. No, God, sometimes having a Windows computer, try not to go and shit like that's kind of a pain in the ass. But regardless, though, let's see what bus. See, we've got Buster Olney, you got Jeff Passan. What? Oh, that's right. Let's see what John Heyman has to. Let's see what he's kind of reporting as of now. So I mean, yeah, your Discord. Let's see what John Heyman has tweeted out so far today. Because we did see some interesting moves going on the last few days. Obviously with Scherzer going to Texas, now JV going back to Houston. Then again, but obviously, and the question is, according to John, this was 40 minutes. I can see that. I mean, I could imagine that as well. Because for us, I mean, we just could use another starting pitcher, probably a few more bats. Then again, to pull another bullpen arm couldn't hurt. But maybe that's just me. Boy. Hey, it would be nice to see the Rangers actually compete for a World Series again. Okay, so not really much to go on at the moment. I think overall, though, so obviously, shout out my guy from my. He ain't wrong. So happy trade deadline day for those who actually want to. Um, so Bob Nightingale. So this was 20 minutes. And that's the thing too with the Met. What's going on, Key? What's good? What's good? What's good? It's funny. For those who have not watched Between the Lines, I think about it last week or so. Because I think during that show, me and Tara actually brought up a point that as talented as the Mets are the last handful of years, it's just like they just cannot get out of their own goddamn way. And we're seeing, you know, where that team pretty much lies. Um and it's and nobody cares about that. So I'm trying to think. Let's see, you got Buster Olney, you have Jeff Passan, John Heyman. Let's see what John Morosi. Like I said, I'm probably just going to do this till and stuff like that. Well, not just the Mets. You're forgetting another New York team that's also a huge disappointment. That's the Yankees. Then again, are we not surprised they're a disappointment? No, I don't. So I got to see let's see what John JP Ramosi, always going on about that. It's be interesting to see how this trade deadline is going to be interesting of going on. All right. But later on tonight as well, probably at 6 o'clock Eastern time tonight. No, you can't go wrong with it. You can't. I mean, can't go wrong with it of not going to go pitching. So actually, this is interesting by JP Rossi with Justin Verlander handing back to Houston. Michael Lorenzen has become the focal point of the pitching market. Suitors for Lorenzen include the Reds, Diamondbacks, Orioles, Braves, Marlins. Even though I like those. Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't. Like I said, as a Phillies fan, I really hope Dave Dombrowski will wake the fuck up. Will be nice to see. But regardless, though, it's going to be interesting because actually, Michael Lorenzen, he's another guy I would not mind at least try to bring in. Um, and stuff like that. But it's going to be interesting. Like I said, this trade deadline is going to get very interesting. Like I said, I'm not really going to do it for long. What's going on, Daniel? It's not just the Dodgers ain't doing nothing, but a lot of most teams are staying quiet. The Dodgers, my Phillies, Yankees, even though they're fucking disappointing. The Mets have been disappointing. They're selling off. We've seen Rich Hill not going to the Padres. I mean, and same with G-Man Choi. Honestly, I'm going to say no on that, Daniel, because the fact that actually, you know what? Actually, I read that. My brain read that wrong. But yeah, I think JV should have stayed in Houston, and so I do agree with that. Just because, I mean, look, Arku, look, yeah, the Dodgers could be fine, but I think they could be better than what they're showing at times. There are games where I've seen where this team just like, are you sure that's the Dodgers? I mean, we've seen guys are just disappointing as hell. They did trade for Ahmed Rosario, and yes, that's not really a big splash in terms of the Dodgers. But I've seen most Dodger fans actually want Dave Roberts out of there, and it's kind of funny. Yeah, and that's kind of proving Arku's point. Like, you cannot have enough pitching. no matter what team you are. As good as you can be, like, shit. I'll think of it this way. If one of your best guys goes down, you a lot of times, yes, you do have a do have a replacement in hand. Now you have some of these teams that may not have a replacement, and let's say in a way, kind of hit the panic button. It's kind of hard not to think about that. Yeah, and that's the thing too. You cannot go with a role with any more, at least one more starter, maybe a few more bullpen arms. And look, you cannot have enough bats either, because I think now this year has been kind of more offensive driven. And yeah, and that's and good point too, Arku. Yeah, and you got guys that look, because I think DeGrom that's out, and which is kind of unfortunate because the dude's a talented guy, just couldn't stay healthy. Montgomery, and that's the thing too, where I do want to touch on that. And shout out to Daniel Arku. And Arku, to really kind of touch on your point of the rotation, as disappointing Scherzer was with the Mets, like I said, I think I said this, I think with Randy, because when that news broke, when Scherzer was getting traded to the Rangers, I think I said, I think the Rangers might have won this trade based when or if Scherzer balls out and turns back. If Scherzer can go back to what he once was, obviously with the change of scenery, I still think that's a really worth of a trade. Yes, now you had to give up one of your top prospects, Luis Angel Acuna. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've seen Evaldi. Yes, I know he has dealt with a forearm strain. Looked like he was like his 2018 self. You have who else is in that rotation? Oh, good lord. I mean, DeGrom's kind of out. Who else is part of that damn rotation? I can't think of it right. DeYoung, that's the funny thing. To touch on DeYoung, I always had a feeling he was going to get out of St. Louis sooner rather than later. Yes, it was a little bit too late to move on from DeYoung. But then again, though, do the Blue Jays ever need another shortstop? But then again, though, like, who is their second baseman right currently? Because Bo Bichette a second or a short. I'm a fucking idiot. Sometimes the third, or could you have him play third? That's where my holy shit, I can't think of the word at the moment. Yeah, and that's a good point too, Arku. The fact he does have ties with Mike Maddox from his time in Washington. I think a lot of people tend to forget Mike Maddox did have a quick stop in Washington before he kind of moved on a little bit. But regardless, though, I still think the Rangers, it's going to be a close. I would say that AL West is going to be very close between the Texas Rangers and Houston. The Angels, that remains to be seen, because if they decide to, because I still have no faith in the Angels. I still look, the fact that they're above 500, that's besides the point. And I think, I don't know why they did that, but what I do think, if they actually do better, again, play better against that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be a huge dogfight down the stretch. I 100% agree with that, because it's either Houston or Texas. It's pretty much the battle of the in-state rivals. That's basically what it is. But yeah, it's going to be that's going to be interesting to think about that at the moment. But I mean, man, what are you going to do? So far, not really much to go off of at the moment. Actually, let me see. Oh shit! But yeah, it's really interesting to watch this trade deadline. But shit, though. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to really worry about your division rival and shit like that. Like, for someone like me, I get to laugh at the Mets pretty much as shitty as disappointing they have been. But I mean, overall, like I said, now that's the thing. With the Texas Rangers, yes, granted, last year they were not the greatest, but here's what I've known so far early on with the Texas Rangers. Obviously, the last year and a half or so before they became what they are now. The last year and a half for the Texas Rangers, they have shown flashes to be a team that can really compete in the AL West. You see the Houston Astros, minus that with that slow start, kind of really set themselves back with obviously dealing with injuries. Yes, I saw the Angels are buying at the deadline because he just got Crone and Randall Grichuk. Because Randall Grichuk, he was one of the guys that actually I do not want to mind having on, in a Phillies uniform. I think. Wait, who reported that? If I swear to God, because hang on, I'm checking Twitter. Okay, who reported that? Jose, who reported that? Let me know. Let me see. Let me check John Heyman. And yes. No. John Heyman. Haha! Yes! Well, there you go. Michael Resident is a Philly. Gotta love it. And that's the thing too with Michael Resident. He's not be the greatest thing on paper, but at least it's something. If it could be a nice, what do you call it? A solid number 5, which I do think, because right now, Christopher Sanchez, I still not, as much as I like the kid, I'm still not high on him. So I think having a guy like Michael Renson potentially as your number 5 in the rotation is great. It's a better improvement. Yeah, they are selling big. I mean, so Michael Renson goes to the Phils. The question is, what are we going to give up for him? Probably not really too much. Yeah, God, Omar Narvaez. I had a feeling they were going to sell around him, but yeah. Tommy Pham. The question is, where does Tommy Pham go? Though that's the biggest question. Though, where does Tommy Pham go? Boy, 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 boy. I'm pretty sure we probably give some couple like scrubs that's in the minor leagues that. Alrighty. Just give me 1 second, guys. Actually, you know what? Boom. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. See, Michael Renson, I don't. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, it's better. Like I said, it's really not better. It's better than nothing. Okay, so the deal was to get Michael Renson. We sent over to Detroit. How you Lee? It's gonna be interesting though. But yeah, but yeah, you guys want to ask me anything? Shit, I'm open for a lot of questions and shit like that. Yep. So Michael Renson. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, people think it's like, oh, Michael Renson's gonna be like the mid and shit like that. But like I said, I mean, if it's better than nothing, look, why y'all the fuck y'all complaining? Because for me, look, Michael Renson, yes, he's not gonna be what he once was, but actually, you know what? Speaking of which, let's actually take a look at his current numbers according to baseball. I forgot how much his baseball reference, so we can actually can see. Do. Oh, damn. CHA. Better than nothing. I mean, overall, 18 games started. Yes, a five. Yes, people like the wins and losses. Not, yeah, nobody really gives a flying fuck about it. You know, a 3.58 ERA, 100 and 105 2/3 innings pitched, and with 83 strikeouts to a WHIP under. But I mean, yeah, how you leave actually we sent back to Detroit. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Plus, I mean, look, we're not really going to trade our top end prospects like an Andrew Painter, Mick Abel, Griffin Gary. I really don't mind if we actually would find a way to, if we decide to move on from him and see with Samo Muzziotti. God, I almost butcher his first name like it was crazy because I played with him, even though let's be, I kind of suck with him in MLB The Show. But it's like, yes, like I said, it's better than nothing so far in terms of what we have in the rotation with Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, Taiwan Walker, and then you have some Chris with Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez, yeah, like I said, the kid has shown promises, but I still think we need a better established number 5. But maybe that's just me. But I mean, like I said, it's not really much. Like I said, I'm not really too mad about it. But yeah. But like I said, How You Lee, I've always figured if we're going to move him sooner rather than later. Um, but it's just like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Christopher Sanchez, like I said, very highly on the kid, shown flashes, but there are times where he's just not that great. At times he does get hit around a lot. And I think that's where, and it's better than nothing. But yeah, maybe that's just the way I look at it. Like I said, yeah, no, that's not what I meant to do. Boom, boom. Like I said, his last 5 games, his last start, yes, took the loss. With 5 innings, 3 runs, struck out 7, and shit like that. But I mean, then I'm gonna say Angels, yes, the Tigers, and honestly, out of figuring, like then again, it's not kind of a surprise that the Tigers are selling because let's be real, they are god awful. Then again, no, actually, they're second god awful behind the Kansas, just barely above the Kansas City Royals and the Chicago White Sox, who are pretty much. But I mean, it's like I said, it's whatever. At that point, and think about this too. With this, especially on what's it? When we're in August, on July 6th, when the Tigers won 9-0 over against the Oakland A's, went 5 innings, struck out 4, and faced 16 batters and stuff like that. Like he has, yes, and times, he has actually gone 5 innings or more. Well, to be quite honest, Arku, I see that as a sweep for the Texas Rangers. I do see the White Sox, or not the White Sox, but the Texas Rangers. Holy fuck. Um, Scherzer. Let's see, Thursday. What am I doing? I don't know. Like I might be. What's the time for the first pitch? Um, Thursday. Yeah. What's the time of the first? Actually, you know what? That's a stupid question. I can just look that up on on the MLB app because that's right. I do have MLB TV. I'll double check with um because I might actually reconsider doing the Hall of Fame game and actually do and stuff like that. I mean, like shit happens. So to answer your question, let me to answer my own question. It's a day game. I hope it's early because because if I can do both the Hall of Fame game and I'm actually think about doing that game actually. Thursday the 3rd. Let's see. Texas a where the hell is it? Oh, it's a 2:05 start. Oh, good lord. So this is a pitching matchup for your oh hell yeah. Like I said, as the Phillies kind of pissed me off a lot, I've not really done a lot of MLB content as much as the next person, which I got to get back into doing that. But I'll definitely will do that game as well. And then I'm also doing the Hall of Fame game as well. So that's gonna be 2 streams in one, for that Thursday. Boy. I mean, look, I mean, with the trade with and plus too, we do need another starter anyways because for those who actually are wondering why we got a guy like Michael Renzo, because if you looked at the rotation we have, it's always the number 5. Oh, really? That's interesting. Then again, college football, I cannot fucking wait. Obviously, for those who don't know about me, who's been around the channel for a long time, I'm a longtime Clemson fan. That's how I've always been for years. As much as people say, why don't you root for like a team like Penn State or something like that? As much as I would like to, but Penn State never really was appealing to me in terms of a college football team to root for. And the way I look, oh, that's great. Oh, that's tough. That is tough. I will say this too. As much as, like I said, I've always will respect the Astros fan base. Trust me, I've known people who are some good ass people that I've known personally from the as a Houston from a for who are fans of the Houston Astros. And besides, from my time as a general baseball fan, look, minus being a diehard Phillies fan, but as a general baseball fan, it's kind of weird. Not it's kind of okay. So the way I look at it, because me and Tyler talked about this before. What's going on, normal guy? Shout out to Chris, Kane coming in. But to really, but going up what I was saying before, because me and Tyler talked about this, my co-host Tyler for the Between the Lines podcast, which is all things MLB related. We did kind of go over a little bit. It is kind of weird. How long the Astros were in the National League for. I think when they made that transition in 2013, and actually made the it was a little bit interesting. The one thing I always liked about Minute Maid Park was Tal's Hill. Like, first of all, that's the most obscure oddity that I've always liked as a general baseball fan. It's like, oh, let's go run up straight up a hill to straightaway dead center field. Like I've seen some memories of that where people just kind of just tumble up that hill, and then when they were here getting rid of it, it's like son of a gun. Like that's the best oddity. That's the best part of Minute Maid Park. Even though I do want to actually go try out, and sometime down the road was okay. So Bob Nightingale actually added more to that Justin Verlander deal. So he goes on to say, "quote The New York Mets are sending the Astros about $54 million in the Justin Verlander trade. One executive said if Verlander's $35 million option in 2025 becomes vested, and Verlander will be owed about $93 million, meaning that the Astros will pay Justin Verlander about $29 million for the next two and a third year." That's shitty phrasing, but I'm not going to complain about that. But yeah, so the Astros are going to pay the back end and stuff like that. I mean, it's like yeah. and the thing is too, as a Phillies fan, yes, we do have some high touted prospects we have in our farm system. Yes, our farm system isn't that great when you look at it. Yes, I mean with Griff McGarry, Mick Abel, Andrew Painter, and obviously who had really successful UCL reconstruction. Um, but it's like if we do like, and that's the thing too. And as much as I like the trade deadline part of the year, a lot of times it's the fact that you know I don't really want to move on from a guy like no Griff McGarry. Yes, I think we could if we could like get Griff McGarry, like say Simone Muzziotti, some around the like that kind of package to see at least get somebody of a better caliber. Sure, I would not have no issues of moving on from a guy like Griff McGarry and stuff like that, and maybe throw a couple other people in there like a Dylan Covey because I kind of finally hate that fucking man, but that's besides the point. But yeah, and that's the thing too. Yeah, I agree. That's why I like always the NBA and definitely the WNBA also has some really good action as well, especially this past off season. And yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, the trade deadline, yeah, for the MLB, not usually typical the slowest, but then again, look, it happens. I can't complain about that. Because I like how yes, I know the NBA has more action, which I'm definitely gonna do more NBA content. That's not Sixers. That's not focusing on the Sixers. So it's gonna be, um. So Jason Stark actually put this out, which actually is interesting for me to look at. So obviously, with that trade confirmed with Michael Rensing for Hal Yu Lee, the Phillies are likely go to a 6-man rotation temporarily since their next day off is not until August 14th. Oh my goodness. Which I like. See, that's for me. I don't mind a 6-man rotation going into that. And that's the thing too. And that should be like an everyday thing for me. Not just from being a Phillies fan, but we look at some of these rotations. Like you guys, especially during this stretch, if you're gonna have guys tiring out, I mean, obviously right now it's kind of Nola and Wheeler at this because usually at this point of the year, this is when you see like Nola and Wheeler kind of just start to kind of just falter a little bit, and that's for me. I've always been a huge, you know, kind of in favor of make a 6-man rotation a permanent thing because if one guy gets hurt, let's just say hypothetically, you got 4 other guys or like 5 other guys. You really have to really mess up on. Like you don't really. I don't know. I don't know what the word is for me to say that. But regardless, though, I'm not opposed to a 6-man rotation if that becomes I hope that becomes a permanent thing. Um, if the just obviously for and kind of give guys a bit of a break a little bit. But let's see. So obviously, according from John Moroz, JP Morosi, you still have a Water Erod and Jack Flaherty have strong markers with a little more than 2 hours left to the deadline. Dodgers, Braves, Reds, Orioles, Marlins, and D-backs are all looking at rotation upgrades. Now you're gonna ask me who wants Jack Flaherty. I would say go to Baltimore. I think Baltimore could use a bit of a younger starting pitcher and guy like Jack Flaherty, who's actually been is a solid talent. But yes, kind of took a step backwards with the Cardinals, who, let's be real, just not been the greatest in sliced bread this year. So I would not be opposed if it goes to the Orioles. Maybe the Reds. The Reds need pitching like it's fucking nothing. I don't know if Hunter Green is hurt. I think who's their number 2 in that routine? Garrett Ashcraft's not really that. He's got good stuff, but not really that impressing. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, this year's trade deadline is going to be very interesting to see. But hey, shit! If they give me Tommy Pham would not be opposed to that. But yeah, so far, really not much to go over as. So, Arcu, so this is basically what your lineup's looking like tonight. For those Texas Rangers fans out there have not seen the starting lineup tonight, 7:05 against the game one against the White Sox. You got Marcus Semien leading off, Travis Jankowski hitting second, playing left field, Josh Lowe or Brandon Lau, or is it Nathaniel Lau? I'm a fucking idiot because I don't know they're all brothers and whatnot. Because yeah, honestly, not a bad looking lineup. With Adolis Garcia, who's been fucking phenomenal. It would be nice for a lot of teams to have. Josh Jung's actually been very impressive, having a really impressive rookie year. I would not be surprised if he does you got to make a strong argument for him for rookie of the year. Mitch Garver, not great, but it's a solid catcher. Solid catcher. Thank you, because it's just fucking crazy. Because the Tampa Bay has two Laus. You got Josh Lau and Brandon Lau, or Lowe, whatever. Sue me on that. DH Brad Miller. I still miss Bamboo Brad. Is that Ezekiel Duran playing short? Tavares in center, and you have Andrew Heaney on the bump. Honestly, speaking of which, let's just take a look at who the White Sox. And for those who don't know, because me and Tyler actually call it the White Sox the armpit of Chicago, in terms of the South Side. But in terms of tonight, where is it? I just fucking saw it. Is it? Okay. Oh, that's right. I'm a fucking idiot. Texas in the Central. Zeke. Thank you. I think because when I think of Duran, because I don't know if his name was Ezekiel Duran or something else. I don't know. Didn't know what his first name was. Oh yeah, bro. I didn't know that Corey Seager was hurt. So, oh boy, you're going to get. Well, let's just say the White Sox, they got a scrub going out there. Schultens, is that how you say it? Hey, apologies for that. So yeah, so you guys equal to. So looking at the season numbers, Marcus Semien, still a solid season by Marcus Semien for a guy. What his first year with the team had boy, he was disappointing as hell last year. But actually, not a bad season this year. Still not what he normally put up with Toronto. But then again, it's kind of hard. And let's bro, hitting a baseball is kind of hard now, even still to this day. You got Semien overall hitting 274 with 15 homers, 66 RBIs with 9 stolen bases, which is not too shabby. Not too shabby. Travis Jankowski, actually not a bad player. Just like I said, not the. I guess the way I could say that Travis Jankowski. What's going on, Steve? What's going on, man? And speaking of the Colorado Rockies fan coming up in here, shout out to you as well. I mean, look, shout out to everyone, no matter what MLB team you're a fan of. Like I said, I'm open to all 30 or all the 29 teams for this channel. But in terms of the Rockies, who, boy, I don't even have no words for that. So right now your guys are hosting the Padres at 8:40 start time, or first pitch, I should say, with Lambert going for you, a 2-1 record with a 4.76 ERA. Now San Diego, not really much to go off of. Because they didn't even have really announced a starter yet. So it's gonna be interesting. And just see. And stuff like I said, I figured the Rangers were in the catching market. Now, let me ask this, Arku. Who are you looking for in terms of the catching market? Who do you have your eye on? Like, mostly. Like, I would say give me your top 3. Give me your top 3 catchers. In terms of what you are looking for in the catcher market. You did say Grandal, even though boy, I don't know about Grandal, because that's a bit of a risk for a guy that's mid to late 30s, give or take. Had a little bit of an injury history. It's just the bat is just not there like it once was. That's my biggest concern with Grandal. It's going to be interesting to see. And shit like that. But I mean, it's just so the Austin Hedges. That's not a bad choice, but the problem with Hedges is his bat. His bat stinks. Now, yes, if you want to go for the defensive end catcher, yeah, I think Austin Hedges should be the easy number one. But like I said, I just feel like Hedges, you're kind of, geez, how do I put that? You know, like I said, this bat, you've seen during his time with Cleveland, his bat just stinks. You know, it's just not great. I mean, and Hedges, looking at his numbers, yikes. Not great. Not even great. Really, a $180 average, 13 runs scored, 14 RBIs, 1 stolen base, with a homer and a -1 WAR, with a 237 on base, 230 slugging, 467 OPS with an OPS plus of 28. Yikes! Offensively, and that is true, Steve. It is kind of hard to find a solid catcher nowadays that can also be good defensively and also has a decent bat. Now, I mean, we do have one. That's in JT, even though we gave him a 5-year extension after we paid him gave him a 5-year extension. Yeah, it's kind of hard to find a catcher like it's either as good with the bat or you get a good glove out of him, or sometimes a very rarity if you get someone in the trade deadline market with a combination of the two. Yeah, like I said, with Mitch Garver, not terrible, but he's not great. He's kind of like that middle of the road type of catcher. He's a solid catcher, I will say that. Well, I know a lot of Yankees fans would have had no hesitation to pull that trigger to give you IKF back. That's our. But regardless, though, so overall, we've seen so far in the span of, I guess you say, the last 3 hours, as it seems. You've seen Paul DeJong go to Toronto, especially as of today. You have Paul DeJong going to Toronto, Justin Verlander going back to Houston, and Michael Resnick coming to Philadelphia. And that's just a span of 3 years, or the span of over 3 hours at this moment. But really looking, God dang it. But I mean, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, yeah, I mean, geez, like I said, I mean, it's kind of hard. And I mean, shit, you had I think the Yankees lost yesterday, and then also on Sunday. So, and that's just fucking nuts. Yeah, shout out to see what Miguel's got from JP Morosi. So shout out to my boy Luis. So John Morosi actually put this out on Twitter that Joey Bart has been mentioned in Giants trade talks. The number two overall pick in the 2018 draft could be moved in the next 2 hours. That's where my problem sometimes too is like when you have guys that are hard to replace, a Yadier Molina, you see the Cardinals just struggle to find a solid catcher because let's remember, there's some big shoes to fill. And now same with Buster Posey with the San Francisco Giants, another set of big shoes to fill. And Joey Bart, not great, but not terrible, which has been very disappointing during his tenure during his time with the San Francisco Giants. Arcua, if you're willing to give up some prospects, shit, I would not be surprised if you guys would trade for a guy like a Joey Bart. Like I say, you're in the catcher. You could potentially look at the catcher market. But yeah, it's gonna be like I said, it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna see some crazy moves get moved in the next 2 hours, as well. Like I said, I'll probably do the obviously probably wait till probably end this probably around like 5:30 or so. Because like I said, we'll be back. We'll be you'll see me again live for obviously a retro WW wrestling watch along and stuff like that. But yeah. All right. Yeah. So for me, like if we need anything else, I mean Tommy Pham, will have no issues bringing in because let's be our left field has been less to be desired. Just I want figured. Okay, so let's just see what's going on for the rest of Twitter. Let me see what a Jeff Passan has to say or what he actually put out. So we got obviously. But yeah, that's the thing too about with Michael Lorenzo, which I also liked about him. He's a multiversal type of pitcher. Like you can give him a majority of some starts, but if you have to put him in Aaron, ooh, that'll be an interesting pickup for the Texas Rangers. Actually, he's been actually speaking of Aaron Loop, let's take a look at his numbers as it stands. Aaron Loop. Overall, yeah. I mean, not terrible, but not great. Overall, like I said, relievers really don't really care about for wins and losses, but a 1-2 record with a 4.99 ERA and 35 games with 30 and 2/3 innings pitched under his belt, 28 strikeouts with a 1.598 WHIP. The downside with Aaron Loop, he does have a tendency to hit around a lot. And it's like, I mean, but then again, like I said, it could all be about relationships with coaches and players and coaches. But it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, it's gonna be like I said, hey, look, I think it'd be a nice little addition um to the. But yeah, like I said, you doubt it. But then again, I see some crazy shit happen. Hey, look, take a look at the NFL. I've seen some in division trades like it happens like nothing. So it's a possibility that if I'm just saying this is a big if somehow not the Cardinals, but the Angels somehow fuck it up and collapse and not be pretty much not in playoff contention. Hey, look, anything can happen. That's kind of what I like about this game. And so the question is, wait, who is your team though? Let me ask you that. That's what I'm wondering. Because, like I said, shit, I see some crazy shit can happen. I mean, look, we got sold running team sell, but we traded our number 5 Tupper prospect. Even though, yes, we did. I mean, look, I was willing to really depart with them anyways. Because Hal Yulee, I mean, since we're kind of still in playoff contention as well, but we'll see. obviously we see some players getting taken off the trade market. Obviously, Cody Bellinger is one of them. Shohei Ohtani, the obvious choice, was off the trade market because you know the GM and definitely Art Moreno don't want to do that. Even though Art Moreno's still going to get screwed nonetheless because you're going to let that Chafin to the D-backs. Isn't no? I think Chafin's with the D-backs. I think. Yeah, Andrew Chafin is is currently with the Diamondbacks, but I don't. Well, man, we'll see. Let's see. Oh yeah. Chafin's go to Milwaukee, and Joel Sherman, and they put this out almost 17 minutes ago. So with the Phillies landing, but this is how I'm putting it in this words. With the Phillies landing after landing Lorenzen, remaining play for a right-handed hitting corner outfield is Tommy Pham. Like I said, I think that's going to be another cheap option, but I wouldn't have not opposed to it. Yep, I just saw it. According to Ken Rosenthal, left-handed reliever Andrew Chapin is going to the Diamondbacks. Do boom boom. And that's the thing too. That is a very weird trade for the Diamondbacks. Is they do need bullpen help like it's nothing. And that's the thing. Yeah, that is a very real weird trade by the Diamondbacks because, boy, there are a lot of times. The biggest thing need from the Diamondbacks is their bullpen. Yes, they don't really have the decent names, I would say, in terms of what they have. But Andrew Chapin has been very solid with the Diamondbacks. Eh, I will never. I don't know, man. I really don't know. All right, let's just take a look. And that's the thing too about Michael Lorenzen too, which I also like too. Like he can still ramp it up into the mid to high 90s, and that's another. See, for me, I could care less about the Women's World Cup. I just care. I just could care less about soccer in general. That's just not my thing to talk about. Um, so let's see. So my all right, Blue Jay. So pending the physical and shit like that. Yeah, that's just crazy. So look at the Joel Sherman. We'll say this aside. I don't know, man. Actually, Michael Lorenzen, where the hell? Ugh, god damn. Actually, speaking of Michael Lorenzen, where the Mike? Hey, dude, is he really a South? If this dude's a South Philly native that I didn't know, I'm gonna be crazy. That was gonna drive me nuts. Went to high school. Nah, where I don't know why the people. And that's the thing to what I was like before the DH was implemented. With Michael Renzo was actually could handle the bat pretty well. Um, so Andrew Chafin joined obviously Milwaukee with his 5th team in his career. Good lord. And shout out to a couple of guys that I follow on Twitter. They actually brought up an interesting thing that with Michael Renson Michael Lorenzen came to us via we traded with gave up our number 5 prospect How You Lee. Now, yes, the reason why we got moved on from How You Lee because he is gotten blocked in terms of the positions by Stott and Trey Turner at the moment. And Verlander went back to Houston. They're off Steve. So according to let me do this. Let me save this. So for Michael Lorenzen's home and road splits at home when he was at Comerica Park is 3-4 with a 3.92 ERA and 10 games started. Overall away 2-3 with a 3.17 and 8 games started on the road. So it's telling me. So both Verlander. Give me one. Oh boy. So for those who are wondering or just coming in, Verlander got traded back to Houston for a couple from the Mets for a couple of prospects in exchange. With the Mets taking up most of that contract, let's really, that's the kind of regret. I've kind of felt like the regret. Michael Lorenzen for me. Like I said, he's one of the kind of guys that I actually wanted on my list. Yes, even though he's not kind of the high guy on my list, but he was one of the guys that, could either be, if you need him on some days, put him in the bullpen for per se, or if you need him in any starting rotation, obviously right now, currently with the temporary 6-man rotation, I would have no issues with that. So I'm happy that Michael Lorenzen is here in Philadelphia. I mean, like I said, he's not that bad of a pitcher. I'm looking at his last 5 games that he's pitched. Yes, played against teams like the Angels, decent team, but I still don't think they're legit by any stretch of the means. What 5 innings, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts to 1 walk. Against KC, 3-0 win. Went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Pitch against Seattle, which Detroit won 6-0. Went 6 2/3, strikeout 7. Now, yes, the walk total was a little bit high in that game. 7 strikeouts to 5 walks, not the greatest, but still, it was a solid outing nonetheless, despite the fact of a high walk count. Okay. That's for the All-Star game when 2/3 of an inning. Yeah, well, that really right. For me, I always feel like the All-Star game is kind of meaningless. It's just a meaningless exhibition game. Yeah, hey, look, you're gonna be pissed about that. I say that shit. I could care less. But Detroit and Oakland, not too bad. Another good solid outing. Another good start. Went with the Tigers winning 9-0. Went five innings, 4 strikeouts to 0 walks. Now that's the thing too with Lorenzen. So Chafin. So it is after 4 o'clock, and the Yankees have not. And that's crazy enough to say that the Yankees have not, or the only team so far in this trade deadline has not been involved at all. Honestly, I'm not kind of surprised because, first of all, who does want to play for the Yankees? I mean, if I know I want it because of a team that, like, yes, they're barely above 500, and they've just been very disappointing for most of the year. Obviously, most of that's become because after Judge, dealt with that toe injury, that torn ligament in his toe. Yeah, that's where I looked at that. Well, but I mean, what are you gonna do about it? But like I said, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Because like I said, this okay. So this is the funny thing too, because obviously with me and Tyler still doing our retro watch a lot, I'll still keep an update on the MLB trade deadline. So we're kind of do in a way 2 streams in one, I guess you could say. But regardless, though, it's interesting to see who else is going to get moved. That's where I will look at that. Um, that being said, though, I see because right now it's been kind of quiet as of right now, since we're at the 4 o'clock point of, I can say, the early portion of the MLB trade deadline. Um, yeah, and then talking baseball from John Boy Media. Obviously took a screenshot of John Heyman misspelling shit once again. Rich Hill and Team Toy to the Osiris, even though it was supposed to be spelled Padres. Um, Well, regardless, uh, so the trade for Andrew Chafin, so the Diamondbacks get in the return from Andrew Chafin was Peter Strzelecki. God, I apologize if I'm butchering your name from that. That was a deleted tweet. It's still, like I said, it can't be an MLB trade deadline or all season without John Heyman misspelling shit. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, how bad do you have to fat finger? Yes, I know, I get it. Everyone, you make mistakes, but that's twice so far. If you had to count from John Heyman, first of all, you misspelled Aaron Judge to Arson Judge, and boy, he didn't. Nobody let him, and they're still not going to let him live that down. And now you misspelled Padres in the worst way possible. So, and the thing is too with and shout out to Dylan McKinn who actually brought up an interesting point from 97.5. Um, oh, trust me, iPhone autocorrect sucks. But regardless, so Dylan McKinn, who's part of the 97.5 crew, but this is an interesting point that I actually liked about. Actually, let me like that, and we're gonna reach. Oh wow! So if you figure out that, okay. So for those who use Twitter or what is now X, the retweets are now reposts. And it's like, huh? But regardless, so Dylan McKillen put this out about 4 minutes ago, saying, "quote Michael Lorenz's career slugging percentage is 429, which would be fifth on the Phillies from everyday players, better than Schwarber, Harper, Turner, and Bowe. Plus, he's a righty. There is your right-handed bat. LOL. Yes, I know as much as the DH wasn't there. Yeah, definitely he would handle the bat pretty well, better than anybody. And my boy Dashy, yeah, and that's another thing too. And the Cincinnati Reds also looking for the pitching market. But it's going to be interesting to see. So JV going back to Houston. But right now, really not much. So we're almost at the 4:30 mark here. Fucking ads, stupid ads on fucking God. I just gotta mute these. No. mute. Because I am not dealing with that shit today. Well, right now, we haven't really seen very much outside of Michael Russell getting traded today. Same with Justin Verlander. And then also started from yesterday as well with the trade deadline. So, but that outside of that, that's going to be interesting to see. That, yeah. So right now, really not much to really work off of. But that being said, though, man, it's kind of interesting. But I mean, like I said, you know, now the question is, though, like, geez, now your people are going to ask me, like, who else is getting traded? As of right now, it could be anybody, depending on who's your team, though. So, yeah, obviously, Tammy Pham's still out there right now on the trade deadline market for anybody that needs another, what do you call it? But I mean, hey, and outside of that, man, it's been kind of fun though. Let's just see. Right now, oh yeah, the Rangers are definitely buying. Now, I'll say this too: if say the Rangers were not in playoff contention, which, like I say, I'm putting this in a hypothetical, like they were last year. I still think they're going to be buyers. I think, boy, how much money do you even have left? I mean, you probably got like a damn surplus of fucking money that you still have remaining, because yes, you got to you put it right now two major contracts in both Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. Granted, yes, and then you're also taking portion of Max Scherzer's contract. I think he also I think maybe I could be wrong. I don't know if he ever opted into his player option. So that remains to be seen. If that is the case. Funny enough, I don't think, and that's the thing too, Arco. I think sometimes people tend to forget this. The MLB is not a salary cap league. We don't have a salary cap, because you could no, there is no salary cap in baseball. That's the crazy part. That's why I liked about the MLB, because there's no salary cap. Because look, you can spend a shit ton of money. Now, yes, you do have the luxury tax threshold, which I guess in a way kind of works like a salary cap, but it really isn't. The way I look at it is because if you spend over a certain amount of money, because there's like a couple tiers to it from what I've read into it. I think tier one, there's like a little bit of a less penalty, but when you get over like tier two and stuff like that, that's when you start taking heavy penalties. And I do think, that's where really how this league has kind of been working for the last handful of years. That's kind of how this game has been. But yeah, we're the only league, the professional sports league in North America that does not have a salary cap. The NHL has a salary cap. The NFL, the NBA, the WNBA has a salary cap. You have sports that do have salary caps. I don't know about soccer, but if there's any soccer fans out there, let me know if there's a salary cap, because I truly do not know, because I don't watch soccer. Yeah, so for those who are wondering if there's a salary cap in baseball, no. You still got the luxury tax though. That's in a way it's kind of their version of salary cap, but it really isn't. It's kind of. Boom, boom. But regardless, though, like I said, boy, and Arco. This is what I find hilarious about the Mets. So my boy Mike, who is a Mets fan, obviously lives in Philadelphia, is a South Philly native. So when the move about Justin Verlander getting traded back to Houston, it's kind of funny the fact that it's like, yeah, they were these because JV was supposed to be the quote unquote replacement for DeGrom. And boy, did that didn't turn out well. You spend that type of money on a guy that, well, let's be real, was very disappointing with New York Mets. Now, I would not be surprised if he somehow go back to what he once was during his time with Houston. Going back to Houston, I would not be shocked about that because like I said, at this point of Justin Verlander's career, I still think he's still a good pitcher, regardless of what let's say his 2023 numbers say. The dude has been, his career has been actually been pretty good. Now, yes, there are times where it's like, and sometimes, and yes, most of that is spent with the Tigers who've been, no, really good shit. The Hickory Crawled. Talk about a minor league. That's crazy. Hickory Crawdads. But then again, I think the most funny name I've seen for a minor league team is the Montgomery Biscuits. Then again, though, I'm thinking to myself, what? And people know what a biscuit really is, especially for those who lived in the South for so long. The only thing, well, it depends on where you get it from, too. That's just besides the point. But regardless, though, it's gonna be a lot of fun. But like I said, like I said, but I mean, look, like I said, I'm probably just gonna end this here because, like I said, we're probably not going to see other moves for probably around between 5 and 6 o'clock at the latest. But that being said, guys, like I said, I did want to go. This is kind of like my early preview, in a way for for the trade deadline. But shout out to everyone that's been in the chat though. And that being said, guys, make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, make sure you ring that notification bell, and I am out.